Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Rush Racing League in North America as we get ready to take on the tight and twisty 2.6 miles, 4.2 kilometers of the Dutch Grand Prix, aka Zandvoort. It is time for another sprint weekend, the penultimate sprint weekend here at NA, and we have some drivers here ready to go, ready to test their mettle against our pretty unique sprint format here today. Still waiting on a few drivers before we go ahead and get going, but in the meantime, it is the unofficial Rush NA podcast with myself, Rekkus, aka Patrick Coleman, and alongside me, the one, the only, Gamehawk. How are you today, mate?
I am doing great, as always. As always, happy to be here, and I'm happy to see some F1 action. And honestly, I'm excited to see what Netherlands has to offer, because when I watched the real life Zandvoort race, and that was that was an experience. That was an experience and a half. So I can't wait to see if we have something similar here.
Indeed, yeah. Hopefully we don't have any Mercedes shenanigans here. And hopefully the Ferraris don't have a double DNF here as well, like they did in the real-life Zandvoort. That would be pretty ideal, or pretty unideal, I would say, for Ferrari, but ideal for maybe some of the other squads. But it is our sprint weekend, so if those of you are unfamiliar with how the Rush NA sprint system goes, there's no qualifying. We took qualifying, took one look at it, and chucked it out the window. And in its place, it is reverse championship standings. And then we go ahead and take the results from that and throw it into our grid for the feature race. So 12 laps of sprint racing here, 36 laps of feature race. Weather might be a bit of a factor because weather was kind of teasing us in the real life Zandvoort. And it wouldn't be the first race of the season where we had some tricky weather stuff. I mean, just look back at Imola, Canada. Those two tracks on the NA calendar had some weather shenanigans all over it.
Yeah, it would be very interesting to see how the weather is going to play into this track. And especially it's going to be just interesting just because of the Zandvoort layout of just kind of a very, very unique track, especially with some of its bank turns like at turn 3 or turn 14. So you throw rain into the mix, then Netherlands just almost becomes a whole new track, especially. So if there is rain, it can kind of just throw everything out the window because you might plan for a dry race, but just because of the layout, as soon as it starts to rain, you may have to just throw that all out the window and just rethink of what you're planning on doing. So yeah, I agree that this may be interesting, but I don't know, that Canada race, that's tough to beat, but maybe we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see indeed. I mean, Zandvoort is such an interesting track anyway, because like you mentioned, it's got some of the highest banked corners in the entire F1 calendar. Actually, in terms of what F1 actually races at, it does have the highest banked corners. The only track that technically has higher banked corners on the current F1 calendar is the historic layout of Monza that actually has an oval attached to it. But F1 doesn't actually race there. They race at the Monza circuit, but not that version. I can't even imagine the modern day F1 cars on essentially like a NASCAR type oval. But yeah, there's a lot of really interesting corners. The weather is always an interesting thing. Wind is usually a bit of a factor here as well, because we're pretty much right on the Dutch coast here at Zandvoort. There's some interesting overtaking opportunities as well, but you really got to capitalize on those overtaking opportunities because they're so few and far in between. Like, I mean, your best bets to really try to get overtake is Tarzan, which is turn 1, turn 2, and then turn 3, and then pretty much the final corner when you go through the highest banked corner on the F1 calendar, and then just go straight, pretty much right back into turn 1. Because, I mean, and also I want to talk about turn 3 for a bit, which is known as Hugen Holzbocht, which I'm just going to call turn 3 because it gives my tongue less of an aneurysm to say it. But turn 3 is the only corner on the F1 calendar where it is optimal to take the outside line.
Yeah, that's I agree. First off, I agree with you that I'm going to be calling all the names of the turns by the name of the turn, that I certainly am not going to be able to pronounce those very well. But yeah, that's turn 3 especially is very interesting. But one thing that I will say is that you're talking about the overtaking opportunities, that most of the time turn 1 and possibly turn 3 are usually the opportunities. I would not be shocked to see if some people are a bit more aggressive, say into turn 9 or into turn 11, where we saw Leclerc and Russell in real life have their incident. So I would not be shocked to see if our drivers choose to try and roll the dice a little bit and be a bit more aggressive.
Indeed, yeah. Hopefully, I mean, I know there's a lot of nicknames that spawn for the poor Kimi Antonelli out of the circuit. I'm not going to repeat them on stream because I'm taking no risks on getting us banned. But Kimi Antonelli had some unfortunate moments, particularly in turn 3, where actually both Ferraris kind of struggled at turn 3 in different ways. Lewis Hamilton had a bit of understeer. He got onto kind of the slick part of that turn 3, the kind of like the advertising boards, which has significant less grip, especially when wet. And then Leclerc got Alt F forward essentially in that race. But we're gonna go ahead and jump right in. Teams and drivers are gonna go ahead and get their starting setups, and then it is sprint time here in Zandvoort.
Yeah, sprint format, and like I said, we took qualifying and we just threw it out. So that really cuts down on the portion of trying to get familiar with the track. So I have no doubt that these drivers were practicing on Zandvoort before the race, or at least I would hope they are. But not having that qualifying to really like nail down how you want to race at this track is going to be a big factor, as basically just drop right into the race and we go.
The nice thing about it is, though, even without the qualifying, you do have the feature race to kind of tweak your setup if you so desire. So it'll be interesting. Looking forward to it. But yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a challenge coming into this weekend, especially after the interesting race of Monaco last week.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. The very interesting race at Monaco, in which, if you guys were not there to witness it, our current championship leader, Tai, he had won Monaco by around, I believe, almost a minute 10, and almost lapped the whole field. I don't know if we're going to see that here, but we will see.
All right, here we go for the sprint race. It is lights out, and away we go here for the sprint of Zandvoort. Oh, we already have a Red Bull off in the background. That is Joshua Bayer resetting the track, but he got turned all sorts of ways around as we get through the first laps of Zandvoort. It is still green flag racing, and look at that line from the Mercedes of Project Nemesis, trying to be the nemesis of the Williams and the Haas. Just turned straight on into Project Nemesis. It is a chaotic race start here at Zandvoort. I'm seeing end plates flying all over the place.
Yeah, there's like almost a huge traffic jam as they're heading down the straight, and there's a bunch of cars that are missing parts, and now there's a Haas over in the gravel. It's just pure chaos as all the drivers are just going every which way.
Yeah, I mean, it is Zandvoort, so Zandvoort is known for its chaotic starts, but good grief, I've seen some crazy things here. So it is reverse championship standings, and Tai's already pretty much up in the P4.
Ooh, there's contact! Contact between the two Astons at turn 11, and I may have inadvertently predicted it. The one Aston Martin went through and bumped his teammate out of the way and took over in 7th. I believe that was Umbreon who went past Reigns.
We saw this at Imola too, that the two Astons did like to get a little argy-bargy with each other. Joshua Bayer gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding into pit lanes. And that is our first retirement of the race. 14 cars left to go on circuit here. I mean, the sprint race wasn't for him, but maybe he'll have better luck in the feature race. That's the beauty of it, because the feature is where the big points are at. But right now, we are watching a very, very chaotic race start here, but I-10 is pretty much already leading this pack by about 2 seconds in Williams.
Yeah, I think what really helped him, I think the reason why he's so far ahead, he had an absolutely fantastic launch right out of the gate. But not only that, the whole chaos of having the different cars going flying around turn 1, 2, and 3 just kind of bottlenecked everyone, so it just gave him even more time and space. As you can see, he's already 3 seconds ahead, but you can see how close all the drivers are behind him as well. And as I say that, the Williams is going to overtake the Alpine of Low Pro, and we have a Williams 1-2 right now.
Tai also getting through on N-Guy as they go to make their way into lap 3. Now, here's the thing, too, is that normally sometimes you could say, oh, I kind of want the undercut. I want to try to go ahead and get him on strategy. But when it comes to sprint, who cares about strategy? Your whole objective is to get those tires to the end and get a win. The only reason you should come into the pits at any point during a sprint is if it starts raining partway through the sprint, or if you have damage. In any other case, you should just go for it. It is hazy out here in the Netherlands, but the sky does look overall to be pretty clear, so I don't think we're going to see any of the weather shenanigans. At least for the sprint, the feature race might be a bit of a different story, but I think for the most part, we are pretty much in a pretty clear race, at least as we're already
We had a moment.
Through.
We had a moment. I was watching or spectating the Aston Martin and Project Nemesis in P6 and P7 at the time. They went side by side through turn 11, but Nemesis went a little loose out of turn 12, and he had contact with the wall. So already you can just see that. I think just to characterize everyone, I think everyone is just being very, very aggressive through basically the whole track. You can see that talked about the prime overtaking spots. It seems that they're just kind of taking that and expanding it even more and just saying, we're just going to do whatever it takes to get past everyone.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. I mean, I know the sprints are pretty much, by design, fast and furious, but I think some drivers took a little bit of that furious part a bit too far, I would say. Nemesis is out! We have just lost Project Nemesis going off at, I believe that is...
Turn 8. Yeah, turn 8 or 9.
8.
Yeah, I wasn't able to catch.
Went off at.
Yeah, I wasn't able to catch what happened, but I think maybe that damage from earlier may have ended up costing him a little bit more. Maybe he just went too fast out of that corner. But yeah, that's the second DNF of the race. So we're down to 13 cars now.
I know sometimes going to the beach is fun, feeling the sand, because even though your hands and feet might like sand, slick tires don't. So if you touch anything that's not the tarmac, I know if anyone ever tells you as a sim racer to touch grass, just tell them, well, I tried it with slick tires and I ended up in the wall. But yeah, all things aside, you really want to keep it on the track as much as possible, because unlike some tracks that we have visited and tracks we will visit later on, like Jeddah, for example, and Qatar, there's no runoff here at Zandvoort. It's just like, if you get off the track, it's just gravel or grass. Either way, your car's not going to have a good time here.
Yeah, just no really runoff area or just really anywhere for you to go. So it's just, they're kind of you have to rely on being precise every single turn and making sure that you like keep everything together, basically, because there really is no alternative. Because you think about like some of the other turns, if you think like Austria with turn 1, you can just see that like you might miss the turn, but they have a runoff area where you can follow and rejoin. You don't have that luxury here, and if you try that, the only thing you're probably going to find is gravel in the wall. So it's just our drivers are really having to pay attention.
I mean, I know racing, and particularly in F1, is all about laser focus, but I mean, this track is honestly sometimes just as difficult as Monaco to try to get some overtakes on. I mean, obviously, you have a DRS zone that actually is pretty nice around the circuit, but, I mean, for the most part, there's limited overtaking opportunities here. I mean, granted, still more than Monaco and some other tracks that we run into on the calendar, like Hungary is also a track with very little overtaking opportunity as NASCAR Freak gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pits, and that's retirement number 3 of the sprint as we're about halfway through. I can see the Ferrari of Meraki Dawn lighting up the brakes, especially through what is, I believe, turn 11. Yeah, it's turn 11. So turn 11, a bit of a hot spot for that Ferrari, but I mean, these front drivers really have just done a very good job as the AI car of NASCAR just reappears on circuit, which does actually kind of remind me of the funny shenanigans that, oh, wait a minute, look at this! Aiton is in the wall! Aiton went deep and just had a moment in turn 3.
Wait, and he's beached. I think he's beached. I see his tire spinning. He's not able to turn. I think he's beached right there in turn 3.
Oh, no. Oh, wait. No, he got going.
Oh, good. He got going.
Going. But you gotta wonder if he's got rear wing damage, because if he's got rear wing damage, then that's retirement number 4 right there. I mean, I know in OC we've seen some drivers like Dynasty Sparrow in Monaco go ahead and stick it out with the damaged rear wing, and he still got points off of it. Maybe that's what Aiton is going to try to go for here if he's got a damaged rear wing, but yeah, I mean, talk about a rough transpiration of things. I mean, he started from the front of the grid, and now he's down in 10th. This has not been a good sprint for him, but it's been a good sprint for some of the other drivers up and down this grid. Tai is up 9 positions here in the sprint, and he's within DRS range, but he's really got to pick his moment if he wants to go for it.
Yeah, and you can see right there, even right now going into turn 3, the Kick Sauber and Meraki Dawn side by side, still holding side by side. Meraki will finally shut the door, but I think the front wing damage that Ferrari has been really kind of detrimental. But you can see how many people have passed, and now it looks like Lopro's trying to open up a gap, and I think he's going to be out of DRS. Yeah, he's going to break DRS range from Tai.
It doesn't help Tai's case that he is missing an end plate on his McLaren. He's missing that left side end plate on the front wing, so it's going to be a bit of a tricky time for him, especially around a track that's so twisty like Zandvoort. It is arguably one of the twistiest tracks on the calendar, because I mean, you have so many sweeping corners like turn 14 that we just went through with Tai. I mean, he's gonna close that gap up quite a bit as Rams goes in and gets a 3-second time penalty for track limits, but he did close that gap up, so he must have still been within the second by the time he hits the detection zone, because I know sometimes on some tracks the detection zones are kind of wonky. I'm going to double check the calendar for this, but a race that I know for a fact has a really wonky detection zone is Australia, because Australia is some of the wonkiest detection zones out there, because you know Australia basically has 4 DRS zones. 2 of them are basically just 2-part DRS zones.
Yeah, and yeah, very, very wonky, and I think you can kind of include Zandvoort into it, because looking at the map, you can see that the DRS detection zone for the front straightaway starts right at the end of turn 12. So it's a very weird place for the DRS detection, as it's quite a ways back from the DRS zone. And the same thing with the one even before that the DRS detection is in the middle of turn 10. So as you said before, kind of wonky places, but despite that, with just about 2 laps to go, Lopro has been able to hold on and make sure that Tai doesn't take his place from him.
Here's the thing, though, too, is Tai's got a battery advantage Tai is actually at a battery disadvantage, Because right now Lopro is about at 16% battery, and at the start of the lap, Tai was at 0. Like, his battery was actually depleted on his McLaren. So, although now they're about even on battery, but I think Lopro is just doing a bit of a better job on that management front. And we also have to remember, dirty air is pretty tricky around this track, especially because you get a good amount of that coastal breeze as well. Because we're pretty much right on the coast of the Netherlands here. But, I mean, I think Tai really just needs to just make sure he doesn't lose time to Umbreon, or make sure he just doesn't get a penalty. Because I think a sprint win for Tai is still possibly in the cards, but I think it's kind of unlikely at this point. I think Lopro's got a good chance of winning the sprint here. But the reason why I say he needs to avoid a penalty is because Umbreon is within 2.5 seconds. And more crucially, within 3 seconds, which is the default penalty here for F125.
Yeah, you don't want to get a penalty because they can really tend to hurt you, because even if you're in the lead, if anyone behind you is closest, you'll kind of just sink like a rock. But one thing I've noticed is that Lopro has been basically fastest through Sector 2, that Tai will get a little bit of time back in Sector 1 and Sector 3, but it seems that Lopro is just that much faster in Sector 2 that he's able to get out of that DRS range and keep Tai back.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, it's just not enough, because, I mean, it may be in the Grand Prix, because strategy is going to be a factor in the Grand Prix, but I think it just turns of pace. Lopro has definitely got it. He's definitely doing good. Funny enough, the Lopro is good in the low-speed corners. That is actually a really funny coincidence I just now realized. But, yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, it's pretty safe to say that Lopro is going to go ahead and take the win here in the sprint.
Well, we don't want to count too soon. We don't want the commentator curse to come back. But, yeah, right now, Lopro has been, so far, the best, as he's been just consistent throughout the entire race. But I think for everyone here, like in the top 7, has been a great race, because you see that everyone so far in the top 7 are all on a like positive position gain. That the only one who's negative then is 810, who originally started in the lead and then had his incident. So far for everyone there in the top, this has been a very good sprint for them.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, Tai especially, he's championship leader right now, and getting those sprint points is going to help him out, as we do have a car off that is end guy, but it's going to be around the corner for the last time here in the sprint race. Lopro has had a very strong race here in the Netherlands, and for the first time of the season, I believe, Lopro wins the sprint race in the Netherlands. It was a good drive from him, but can he keep it up in the Grand Prix? We'll have to see. But for right now, good job to our top 3.
Yeah, absolutely great job. Consistency is key. And we talked about how going through the race, you have to focus every corner, not make mistakes. And that is what the drivers at the front, especially Lopro, did. That they were consistent. They did everything they needed to do, and they came out on top, rightly so.
Especially being laser focused on a track like this is just so crucial. And I mean, it's hard to sometimes, just because you're always in a tricky predicament, because I mean, pretty much as soon as you think you have a little bit of a breathing room, you pretty much have to immediately get ready to turn for the next corner. So you get a massive workout here at Zandvoort, and I mean, kudos to these drivers for getting through the first 12 laps, but they got 36 more after this that they have to go through as well. So, I mean, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. What a performance from Lopro, and what a performance from Tai as well, because Tai pretty much he kept close even though he had damage. So just going to speed run through our sprint results here. It is Lopro to Tai to Umbreon to SGC, Marakudon, GM Reigns, Harold, I-10, Illyrian, Rams, the Wildcat, and then N Guy, and then our 3 retirements, NASCAR Freak, Project Nemesis, and Joshua Bear, all retired from the sprint race. But that is the sprint race. Can they do better in the feature race? Do you think any of these drivers who DNF'd in the sprint will have a better feature race, Gamehawk?
Oh, I would 100% be ready to see Project Nemesis perform better. That DNFing in the sprint was unfortunate for him as he was racing well. So I can imagine that he's going to want to try and reclaim some of those positions here in the feature race.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna want to do that. I mean, just another thing too is that it's pretty much a chance to kind of redeem yourself too, right? When you get into the feature race, it's also a chance to kind of calm down, think about what went wrong, and then just try to maximize and try to improve on those mistakes. Because I mean, let's say this was the Grand Prix that we just went through. I mean, you would have had zero chance of like, well, I guess I'll do again better, because you gotta wait till next season to do better on that track. And sometimes, like pretty much with last season to this season, you just go to a brand new game entirely that has a completely different handling model, just about.
Yeah, they kind of don't have the luxury as real life drivers do. I would agree.
All right, we're about to get ready for Grand Prix racing. It was a quick launch, and we're back underway. NASCAR Freak is in the lead, but he immediately gets jumped. He's immediately losing several positions, falling down like a stone into turn one, and everybody is trying to jockey for a position. A much cleaner start this time around for everybody involved. Joshua Bayer does get the inside. He's going to go ahead and hold on to position. And there's a green flag, or not a green flag, we're losing your green flag because a green car has been around and about. It is the Kick Sauber of SGC Zexify, I believe that is. Interesting name, but not a great start for the Sauber as we see a few more positions change. The Haas and the Williams, Aiton and Ram side by side. Aiton gets it done. But man, it's been a chaotic start, but a much cleaner one compared to the sprint race, I would say.
Yeah, a very much cleaner start. And now side by side, the McLaren and the Mercedes getting a hold on.
Ooh.
Around through turn 12. Not enough. They're still side by side. And Tai will finally get the place. That was a very, very dangerous situation, but Tai was able to pull it out. And yeah, that was very crucial. that almost ended in a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, drivers are definitely not afraid to go in and fight it out. As the Aston Martin Hummer is trying to get a very optimistic inside move onto Project Nemesis. He was thinking about going after Bear as well, but once again, Umbreon trying to get something going here. Trying to see if he can detect the weakness in the defense of Project Nemesis just up the road. But right now, it is pretty infallible, that defense. But here's another thing too, right? Something that wasn't the case last race, but it is the case this race. I know we're pretty limited on our camera, but look up when you get the chance, because it is pretty cloudy here in the Netherlands.
Yeah, it is looking, that is one of the things that I noticed, that it is very, very cloudy. And I think that we might have some rain affecting, which that kind of leads into something that I was going to ask you, that you can see that kind of everyone has different like tires and strategies. It seems like, as you can see, there's a majority that took the hard compound to start the race. Then there's a majority who took the medium compound to start the race. And with rain incoming, possibly, how do you think that is going to affect it, as Umbreon is going to just send it into turn one and hold it on, and he will. That was a move and a half.
He detected a weakness. I mean, that's pretty much it. He detected a weakness finally in that strong armor of the Mercedes. And to answer the question in chat, Thunder Killer, I have done a whopping one competitive league race in my time, and that was it for a reason. I'm definitely much better suited on the commentary desk than I am behind the wheel of these cars. Maybe I might join in for the reserve race at some point if I'm feeling adventurous, but yeah, let's just keep that one in the what if category for now, as we see if Detect Umbreon is gonna see what if he can get past the Red Bull of Harold. He's gonna try. He's gonna do everything he can But once again, not exactly the best overtaking opportunities. To come back to our original talking point earlier, as Tyler gets the fastest lap of
What
the
a
race so far.
save! Oh, the Kick Sauber Valerian was side by side with Project Nemesis. He clipped the grass, and I thought the Kick Sauber was done for, but somehow he kept it on the track and off the wall. That was incredible.
Illyrian has been a quick driver. We've seen him a few times in OC, and he's had some pretty strong stand-up performances. But definitely another driver with massive ups and downs. Kind of like H-Town sometimes. We've seen him a few times here in the NA division. Has some really strong races and some not so strong races, but Illyrian is pretty much in that same boat. I've seen him do some masterful driving, but I've also seen him do less masterful diving as he's going to go in and try to get a take onto the Ferrari of Wildcat. Wildcat getting his claws out, a bit of a spin. Bit of a spin on both sides, I think. That Formula 1 car looking more like a Formula Drift car out here.
Again, I don't know how in the world he is keeping that Kick Sauber. And there was contact, I think. It looked like there was contact between GM Reigns and the Haas of Rams. It doesn't look like either side has damage, though.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. Yeah, no car. Both cars got away with it unscathed. So I mean, hey, that's always good to see. As Wildcat's gonna be the first driver to come into the pits. Pretty early to stop, unless, well, he's got damage, so that makes sense. He's gonna throw in a set of mediums. So to get back to our original talking point a while back, when it comes to the weather, the thing is, with the hards, you'd be in a much better spot to really try to endure, but I mean, we also saw at Imola where there was such a long crossover point where the hard tires and the intermediates were pretty much neck and neck in terms of pace. So it's a tricky one, but I think if you're on the hard tires, you would try to stick it out for the rain. If you're on the mediums, then I mean, I guess either way you'd really try to stick it out, but it's gonna be easier on the hard tires than the mediums.
Yeah, and I agree that. Oh, and now Tai is going to take advantage of that with the DRS. And we have our first, or actually, I should say our second lead changes. Oh, 810, our first DNF of the race.
And it's a full course, it's a virtual safety car, full course caution, whatever you want to call it. It is a VSE to go ahead and back the field up here at the Dutch Grand Prix in Rush, North America. And to reiterate to Thunder, I actually forgot about the social races being a thing. It'd be a bit easier for me to do the social races if it wasn't at, 5 a.m. here in the US, but maybe sometime I'll pop in and try to do one at some point. Can't promise any good results though, but I will at least make an effort to consider it. But here's the thing now, talking about considerations. Would you consider pitting in at this stage for any of these drivers? Personally, unless it started drizzling, no. But, I mean, because it's too long, or the rest of the race is too long for the hard tires to make it to the end. And certainly it's for the mediums, but doesn't matter anyway, we're back racing. And it is better to pit under a full safety car instead of a VSC, but it was only a VSC. Now we're going to see a battle here as we see the
Contact!
Low Pro, the sprint winner, having a bit of a tough time.
We had contact up in the front as well, as now Meraki Dawn is missing an end plate. Very, very reactive defensive move from Tai, as it looked like Meraki Dawn was going to try and make a move to the outside, but Tai closed the door, and that resulted in losing his right end plate. So now you have to consider that, because the hards definitely have a lot more life than the mediums, but now if you're missing the end plate, you're going to be significantly slower in terms of pace, because it will definitely start to affect you. So now it's kind of in the air, as like to see what maybe some of these drivers will do.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the worst tracks to lose an end plate on. There's some tracks, like the track we're going to next week, it's not the worst thing in the world to lose an end plate on if you're if you take into account we're heading to Las Vegas next week for Rush North America. But I will say that losing an end plate around Zandvoort is not exactly a great thing. And also, if you lose an end plate around our final sprint race of the season at Suzuka, then you're also kind of in a rough spot as well. And last week at Monaco, I mean, there's a few tracks where it really sucks to lose an end plate. This is 100% one of them. As now we're gonna check out Joshua Bayer trying to put pressure on the D-Tech Umbreon, wanting that position back. We might be hitting that crossover point where the mediums are starting to kind of fall away from these drivers, and the hard tire seems to be the more predominant tire here.
Yeah, and looking on board with Joshua, you can actually kind of start to see blue sky is peeking through the clouds. So there's a possibility we may not get rain, but we certainly can't rule it out. But yeah, I'm just kind of interested, just like you, to see kind of where this race is going to go, because it's Formula One. At the end of the day, none of these races are ever truly predictable.
Yep, pretty much. It's the age-old saying of the only predictability when it comes to racing is that it is in nature unpredictable. So, I mean, weather is a tricky thing. I mean, I know there's a lot of jokes about the UK weather, Florida weather, insert country here with temperamental weather. But weather in general is such a phenomenon that, oh, but look at this! NASCAR is off into the gravel. He's having to take the recovery road. He just went deep into Tarzan and just binned it. Ow, and he's totally out of the race now. NASCAR is out entirely. He had to make a right-hand turn. It did not favor him too well. NASCAR is out of the race, and that is a full course safety car.
Yeah, that is a full course safety car, and that, it literally shakes up everything. I don't know if we really like manifested that, or by talking about how unpredictable the races can be, but that is really going to throw a wrench into especially some of the strategies, because this is a gift to the people who are running the mediums, but if you're running the hards, you are probably not very happy about this.
Indeed, because check this out. Tata is going to come in to get a free pit stop essentially. But oh, you saw what I saw. He went on to another set of tires. Oh yeah, no kidding, he went on to another set of tires. Well, look at this. I mean, I know it's unfortunate Meraki didn't get that 10-second time penalty, but Meraki's on the soft tires now. So this is definitely meant to be a two-stop race here.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, look at this. So we have the first person who didn't pit is Project Nemesis. The Tai was able to get out of the pits quick, but Project Nemesis and Harold in the Red Bull are the first two who did not pit. And then you have Meraki Dawn, who starts the rest of the grid of people who pit. So you have two people in the start who didn't pit, who are going and sticking with the hard compound. But I'm very interested to see what Meraki Dawn is planning on doing. He must be thinking about starting on the softs and then maybe switching to the mediums for his next pit stop, I guess. But very interesting call there.
I'm actually also curious about Tai because you have to run two separate compounds. And Tai started on those mediums, and then he went to another set of mediums. So I'm thinking potentially, here's what I'm thinking about for strategy when it comes to these drivers. I think that Tai is going to go, because we didn't do qualifying, so there's still a good amount of soft tires available for these drivers. I think for Tai he's going to go medium, medium, soft. And then for Meraki, he's going to go medium, soft, medium, is what I'm assuming that strategy is going to be. We'll see if it pays out for him, though, because, I mean, especially in situations like this, strategy is such a tricky beast to tame.
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely something that is very hard to tame just because of all the different... Oh, and look, Meraki Dawn pits again. So he must be switching to serve his penalty then.
Yep. And he's got no set of soft tires, so It's definitely softs are definitely part of the strategy at this point. Because I mean, I know we have seen pit stop mistakes from Ferrari. My mind goes back to I want to say Div 6 Jeddah, where there was a misinput and it threw a Ferrari onto wets on a perfectly dry desert track. But that was definitely not an accident. That's actually the Ferrari just ghosted through a Alpine through the pits.
Yeah, that is. I was watching as that happened. I was trying to register in my brain what happened, but I guess the game doesn't say anything happened, so I don't know.
Indeed, yeah, it's interesting stuff. Safety cars have always been a bit of an interesting moment when it comes to, well, F1 in general, but particularly here in Rush. There's usually some kind of shenanigans that happens when a safety car is involved. Still waiting for the field to catch up, so okay, well, that answers my question. I was hoping we'd get a safety car in this lap, and my prayers will be answered. Safety car comes in this lap, and Tai will lead us to green, but here's the thing, though, that's going to make this really interesting. There is 2 cars in between Tai and Joshua that have older tires, older hard tires, mind you, so Tai's got a pretty good shot of getting away pretty quickly here on those mediums.
Yeah, I think him getting a great launch is going to really benefit him just because of those 2 cars who didn't pit there. I think it's going to be more interesting to see the launch that Joshua, Umbreon, or Illyrian can get because they pit for new tires, so it'd be interesting to see what kind of a launch they get.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, but here we go. We don't have to wait too long to figure out the answer to that question. As Harold drops, well, Harold's in the pits, so that's not as dramatic as I thought it was going to be. But look at Lyrian. Lyrian is trying to barge his way through. He gets past the Aston. He's up in a 4th on the restart, locking up the brakes, going through turn 3. And it is getting so dicey out here. And Joshua Bayer and the Mercedes of Project Nemesis going side by side. Joshua on the quicker tire gets the move done. But that allowed Tai to already build up a 2.2 second gap here as we're about a third of the way through this Grand Prix.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about pace, Meraki Dawn was originally 12th in half of a lap. He is now in P9. So you can see that he already has the pure pace, and he is just trying to claw his way back up. And so many hairy moments going through as all these different things happen. Oh, wait, there's a caution. Oh, wait.
End guy is out, and it's a safety car again. End guy is out of the Grand Prix. I saw the marker on track. I didn't see what happened to him, but that is safety car number 2. And you know who really benefits from this? Meraki and Rams, because they're both on that soft tire. They can make those soft tires go the distance. So for them, it's really going to be speeding on their safety car for Harold. Oof, that's not a deal.
Very interesting. I think it's mostly just because of the delta speed, because you are not allowed to catch up to the safety car until you cross the start-finish line. So he must have sped up to catch up, but then the delta was resulting in a penalty.
I have seen so many drivers get grabbed by that delta penalty thing in this game. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It is part of racing, though, and the rules are there for a reason. You really can't, I mean, yeah, pretty much. You can't try to catch up to the safety car until you cross that start-finish line. Otherwise, there is a very specific delta. It's really tricky, too, because in the corners is where they'll really get you on delta. Because you can take the corner at, like, you could be completely off the throttle, but the game will still register you being over delta, as the McLaren who wrecked out earlier is out of the session. So once again, we are on lap 13 out of 36 with 3 retirements, and we are over a third of the way through this Dutch Grand Prix here at the Rush North America division.
Yeah, already we're just about getting there. We're not quite to halfway because it is a 36 lap race, but approaching as we go through the rest of these tracks, it looks like the weather right now is not a factor. And I will point out, very interestingly, the Haas of Rams, who's in P3, came in for softs at the same time that Meraki Dawn did. And he is now in P3 behind the 2 medium cars. So unlike the first safety car restart, where Tai could kind of get away with it because he had 2 drivers behind him on old hard tires, now he has Joshua, who is on the same set of mediums as him, and then Rams, who is on soft tires. So now it feels like when the track goes green, how good of a launch that they're going to get is going to matter a lot more.
Another thing too with being under safety car conditions is that you really do not burn up any tires. You burn up only about half the tire percentage that you would under green flag conditions. So, I mean, those soft tires are really starting to last quite a bit. And you can really get some extra mileage out of those soft tires by just being under these conditions. I mean, I know these are racing drivers. They want to go ahead and race. But some of them, I'm sure, will not complain about saving the tires just a bit, although I'm sure those soft runners would have wanted this safety car to go ahead and stay out for another lap or so. But the field is bunched up, and we're ready to go racing yet again on lap 15. I believe my co-host has forgotten about the mute button.
I unfortunately did. That is going to become a meme, I swear. But now,
most of us.
So now all of them are going to come down, and look at how close they are. Tai did not get as big of a launch as he did the first time, as Joshua is right behind him as the whole field is bunched up right now.
Yeah, the whole field is bunched up very nicely there. It's a bit of a brake lock up there from Tai. Is going to put him even closer within the clutches of Joshua. DRS will not be available this lap. It will be available the next lap, though. So Josh really is going to put in the extra effort to stay close to that McLaren as he just roars on through the circuit as they approach turn 9, going down into turn 10. And they are, I mean, what's interesting is that even though they're on the same tire with the same tire age, Ty's already out of DRS range here.
Yeah, Tai has really set himself apart as being one of the better drivers in the North America Series. And, ooh, there was a hairy moment as I'm spectating the Ferrari of Meraki Dawn. He was able to squeeze past Low Pro in turn 11 and 12. But yeah, Tai has just had pure raw pace as he's going to go ahead and set the fastest lap so far in the Grand Prix, as he has just had pure pace basically the entire season in total.
Yeah, he did, and he's been doing a really dang good job here in today's race as the Ferrari locks on the brakes, trying to get past Zexify, trying to get past the Kick Sauber going through. This is not exactly a great spot to try to get these overtakes down, but he does it anyway. Those soft tires are really kicking in now for Meraki Dawn as he goes through Shibboleth, better known as just turn 7, and then going to turn 8, turn 9, turn 10. I gave my hand on the Dutch pronunciation. Not exactly the greatest at it, but we have another caution. Never mind. That is, ignore that caution if you see it on your screen. That is just a UI bug. So there is no caution, no imminent VSC or safety car. Although at Baku and Div 6, we did actually run out of safety cars. So there is a limit. The limit is 4. It is 4 safety cars, and there's a 5th one. Then it is a VSC. So,
what a moment.
Little fun fact.
Joshua had a moment in turn 1 that resulted in him spinning. It looks like he was able to get out with no damage, but he's going to fall into P4, and Illyrian in the Kick Sauber will overtake and be in P3 now.
Illyrian is known for his more aggressive driving, I would say. He has definitely ruffled a few feathers, including even in our Twitch chat of Aiten, who was eliminated from the Grand Prix pretty early on. Had some choice words about Illyrian in the Twitch chat. But I know Illyrian, he will, if he sees an opportunity for a move, he's going to go for it, whether the opportunity is fully there or not. So he is just one of the more aggressive drivers, and sometimes that aggressive driver can really pay off. I mean, it's paid off for him so far here because he is currently in P3, and he's got tires that are probably going to last to the end of the Grand Prix because he's running those hard tires, and they are now 8 laps old, but about a good half of those laps are under safety cars, so he's still got a lot of life on those tires as he's chasing down Ram for that P2 position.
Yeah, and now you kind of got, you got to start to question, because you can see Tai is already completely pulled ahead as Rams is losing pace on those soft tires. That now kind of the question becomes, Illyrian can go all the rest of the race. I'm not 100% sure that Tai is going to go the rest of the race on the mediums, and for those who are on the softs, you certainly can't. So now it's kind of becomes a question of how long until the drivers on the soft tires pits, and then how long or if the mediums pit. And oh, we got a Red Bull out.
And it's another safety car. That is safety car number 3 on the evening. And that is the third safety car. Once again, those soft tires are getting the life that they so desperately want. But here's the question though. Do you pit in for hards if you're on these soft tires? Because Tai's into the pits. He does need to switch to another compound, so I think Tai is going to go on the hard tire considering how many laps are left. And the white-walled hard tires are out. Onto the McLaren they go. And now we're seeing a flurry of activity here in the pits as Ram is going to go into the medium. So an interesting choice for him. Umbreon is going to stay out on those hard tires. He will inherit the lead of this Grand Prix. Tai is in second place. Project Nemesis on those 6-lap-old hard tires is going to stay out. Only a handful of drivers have actually stayed out, so we'll see if that remains that way. But right now, D-Tech Umbreon, Project Nemesis, Harold, well, Harold's into the pits, so that's actually now it's pretty much just Umbreon and Nemesis, the only 2 drivers on this field who have yet to pit, or who haven't pitted during the safety car, I should say.
Yeah, and very interesting decisions as now Project Nemesis, we had originally, I think, 4 or 5 drivers that were on the soft tire compound at one point. Now Nemesis is the last one, and everyone else has gone back to the medium or hards. And I think the one question that I'm going to have is that for the people who pitted to the medium, such as Rams, Wildcat, Low Pro, Meraki Dawn, I am very interested to see how those tires, or if they're going to try and take those tires all the way to the end. Because we already know that Tai, GM Reigns, and Illyrian, and even Umbreon on the 9-lap tires, they realistically could survive the rest of the race without pitting. So I'm very interested to see how long the mediums are going to last here.
Yeah, I'm curious too, because I mean, I don't think we've ever really had enough racing laps to truly kind of gauge how long these tires, any of these tires can really last, honestly. Because it feels like at least a third of this race has been under safety car conditions or VSC or some kind of time where we haven't really been using these tires fully. It is lap 20 out of 36 now. It'll be at least lap 21 when we get back racing, probably maybe lap 22, probably, but I mean, yeah, I'm actually really curious to see how these tires actually will do around the circuit, because degradation is moderately high here. It's not as high as some other tracks on the calendar, but I mean, it's definitely gonna beat the daylights out of a soft tire for certain. So curious to see how this plays out for the sole survivor of the soft tire switch up.
Yeah, well, I think we can both agree that even in the few laps that we've seen where it was like a full green lap or green flag run, the softs kind of got burned up immediately. That Rams originally was on the softs and he was very competitive, but then you saw how quickly the pace fell off with how much time he ended up losing to Illyrian. So we already know what the softs are like, but like I said, it's just kind of a question mark as to see how long or how far the other tires can go. We just haven't had enough green flag laps.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, we pretty much know that the one thing in common between the common housefly and the soft tire in F125 is that they have a lifespan of like 5 minutes, but we know that you can still get some pretty good grip out of those tires for those 5 minutes that the soft tires don't completely shrivel up, as we're back to racing yet again on lap 21 out of 36. We are close to being 2/3 of the way done with this Grand Prix, but Tai trying to put pressure on the Umbreon now. The McLaren trying to go ahead and use that brand new hard rubber, trying to maybe think about a move on the outside. Doesn't quite get it now, but he's going to get it going into turn 7. We'll have to see, not quite yet. Now we're going to make it to turn number 8. He's going to try to maybe make a move, but just once again, just not enough real estate. This is not a part of a track where you really want to get an overtake. And another, there's a Mercedes off circuit, and it's
a virtual
Nemesis.
Safety car. Oh, and Nemesis is off. He will get back and going though, so he won't retire though. That is good to see that Nemesis is so far not retiring from the race, but maybe it was just those old soft tires that kind of just ran out of grip for him. But yeah, it is a virtual safety car, so no normal safety car this time. But yeah, crazy.
This has turned out to be a very chaotic weekend here at Zandvoort, I will say. Yeah, I wasn't honestly expecting to see this level of chaos here at... I mean, Zandvoort is a chaotic track. I mean, look at the real-life Grand Prix. I mean, Lewis Hamilton messing up and wrecking out of turn 3. The contacts between Liam Lawson and Carlos Sainz, between Charles Leclerc and George Russell, and then Kimi Antonelli just sending him to the shadow. I mean, oh, Nemesis did retire.
Oh, and he
for the
did
race,
retire.
Just into the pits.
Interesting. I'm actually kind of surprised by the retirement. I wonder what the retirement was for, but wow. So Nemesis is our 5th retirement of the race.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's unfortunate to see. I mean, we saw 3 retirements in the sprint, but even more now in the feature race. It's a bit unfortunate and it's a bummer, but Zandvoort is really a pretty tricky track to kind of navigate, so it just tends to happen, unfortunately.
Well, at least on the plus side for the drivers that are currently here. Oh, contact! Oh, the Haas of Rams into the wall on to the front straightaway. He is able to slip into the pits quickly, but oh my goodness, that was a very hard impact. And that is a really rough situation for the Haas man.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, he's on another set of soft tires now, so we'll see how that plays out for him. But Tai did pretty much get the jump he needed, and he pulled away. Now Marakidon is knocking on the doorstep of that P2 position. Marakidon wasn't a big fan of the sprint format, but he did do very well the last time we had it at Imola, so he's looking to repeat that success and try to get closer and closer to Tai in the driver's standings. As we have a Sauber having a bit of a moment there. Oh, he's missing his entire front wing. He's got to get going again, but it is yellows throughout Sector 1.
And the green flag will go through as now And now Meraki Dawn is going to make the move. As now Meraki Dawn will move past Umbreon up into P2. And now it really comes down to hards versus mediums here. As same lifespan of both Meraki Dawn and Tai Tai have had their tires for 5 laps. Now this is going to be the real test to see how long the mediums will go versus the hards.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they do around the circuit because I mean, in the long run, the hard tires are gonna be the better tire compound. But are we gonna actually get to that point where we see that trade-off? Because there is a crossover point, just like we talked about earlier at Imola with between the wets and the wets, inters, and the hards having that bit of that crossover point. As there is a yellow flag in sector 3, that is a slow-moving Salver. Oh, the Salver's into the wall in the pit lane. So that is Zexify having he's stuck in the pit lane. He does okay, after a little bit of J turning, he does manage to get into the pit, so we'll be spared from a virtual, but whew, that is another retirement, and we are down to 9 cars left on the grid.
Down to 9 cars, and well, but now if you are still in the grid, you have confirmed points basically now. So now it's a fight of seeing just how many points you can grab, because you know that the drivers at the top, they're not going to be content with just knowing that they have points. Like, they want to go for as many as they can.
100%. Yeah, I mean, drivers can get upset over not passing someone on track and only passing them due to a penalty. Because drivers, they are always hungry. They're always trying to get better and better with every single round. So you know that these drivers are going to push tooth and nail. Sometimes to the benefit, sometimes not. I mean, a driver never wants to second guess themselves and say, you know, they just don't want to have that what if hanging over their head for the rest of their life. Just what if I made this overtake here? What if I decided to kind of hold up and wait for a better opportunity, you know? There's so many things that goes through a driver's mind as GM Reigns is going to fire up the inside of Tarzan to get that move done and dusted. He didn't have to figure out and wait like, well, what if I didn't make that move? Because he made the move and he's up in the 5th.
Yeah, and he's been slowly climbing up the ranks through the leaderboard as the race has gone on. He had a couple close calls where we even talked about in the sprint where he kind of got forced out of the way by Umbreon at turn 11, but so far here in the feature race, he's been able to kind of just steadily work his way up. We talked about in the sprint, consistency is key, and it seems that here it's in the feature race it's been even more evidently so.
Consistency doesn't only do good for you in a singular race, it does good across the entire championship. Because if you have somebody sporadically getting wins but DNFs the other half of the races, the person that was consistently in 5th for those races has honestly an equal shot at winning the title. So consistency is key in a race and also overall as part of the championship, because the drivers who win championships are consistently in that top fight, like Marakudan, like Tai Tai, consistently fighting for those points, consistently fighting for those wins, those podiums, and ultimately puts them in a really good spot to fight for the championship.
Yeah, and ultimately one race will not determine the course of the championship, and that's why these drivers fight almost every week or every 2 weeks in these races, because you want to win the championship, but to do that you have to, and in order to get those points you have to finish the race. So that's why a lot of times these drivers will do almost whatever it takes. I mean, we've seen so many almost dive bombs or very close turns into turn 11 that, yeah, these drivers are willing to do whatever it takes to try and get more points to increase their standing.
I mean, we even saw that a good amount in the North, or not the North America race, the reserve race a few nights ago, where I mean, we've seen some drivers do some pretty questionable things to jump into those top positions, but sometimes it just doesn't really pay off too. But I think what you said is pretty perfect, honestly, because right now anybody who finishes a race is going to get points. I mean, even at the start of today, anybody who finished got points because we only had 15 drivers on the grid. But to finish first you must finish. And I mean, it doesn't matter because you don't get a point for the most laps led in a race here. Because I mean, Tai could have got a point from that alone, but Tai could lead 35 out of 36 laps. But if he bins it on lap 36, then he gets no points. It's as simple as that. Even with fastest lap, he's just not going to get a point because he didn't finish.
Yeah, absolutely. Could not agree more. And I have seen that happen. I have seen races where someone is leading. We even saw it with A10 in the sprint race, that he was consistently leading ahead of second place, and he was almost like 4 or 5 seconds ahead, but one bad turn completely ruined his race and completely changed how the sprint race finished. So you just got, as you said, that's probably going to be the key of the NA Rush Racing League of in order to finish first you have to finish, because that phrase really sums up everything here.
Another thing too is that I know people like to quote that quote, but they also love to really quote the Ayrton Senna quote of, if you no longer go for a gap that exists, then you're no longer a racing driver. That is true to an extent, and I think people, I mean, if you've done any public lobbies, and even sometimes here in this series, we've seen it where drivers take that a bit too literally at times. I mean, yes, if you see a gap, then go for it, but here's the thing. A good racing driver, or a good esports driver, whatever tag you want to throw on it, they identify what is actually a gap. A good driver can identify where a gap actually is. As we saw that Low Pro here in the fight with Umbreon for P3, he detected that there might be a, well, there it is out, so that's the second kick Sauber retired from the race, and now there's down to 8 cars. Surprised that I didn't actually throw a VSC out, because I think we still have one more safety car in pocket, but hey, I'm not complaining because we got 7 laps left to go, including the lap we're currently on. But yeah, I mean, a good driver knows what a gap, or what is a gap, and what's not just, you know, desperation.
Yeah, I think a lot of people end up thinking that they go for the space that they think is there, and then 9 times out of 10 it turns out to be the Piastri Norris situation that happened this year in Canada, where if gap, I put car, and unfortunately that doesn't always work out in the best interest, and most of the time results in one car DNFing. One car that's not DNFing though is Low Pro, as now he's passing Umbreon, and now he will move into P3 in the Williams, and he's fought his way all the way up into the podium.
He has indeed. It's a very good job here from the Williams driver. Speaking of drivers, I think we're actually getting pretty close to the time where we have to decide our driver of the day. It's about 6 laps to go. I think it's a good time to kind of start that discussion now. So I'll let you go first. Who is your pick for driver of the day?
Honestly, I think this might be the first Rush Racing League this season where I really don't know. I honestly don't know who I would give driver of the day to, because everyone that has not DNF'd, they've all been kind of racing in their own lane and doing whatever it takes. That, I mean, if you want to go by most overtakes, you could be giving it to Low Pro then, because of the absolute fight that he had to do, where he was at the back of the pack, fought up to the front, had an incident, fought the way back. But then if you look at like Tai Tai or Meraki Dawn, they fought all the way to the front, and they were already so far ahead where they just kind of were having their own battle. So yeah, I think this might be the first race where I'm not entirely sure, but I am interested to hear your opinion on this.
I am honestly kind of torn between Lopro and Meraki Dawn, because here's the thing. And actually, here's why I'm more so leaning towards Meraki Dawn at this point, because remember, Meraki Dawn had a penalty. He had a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane that he served. He's at one extra stop compared to Tai Tai. Tai Tai has 2 stops. Meraki Dawn has 3. Lopro has 2. Now, you could argue that Meraki Dawn pretty much fought through his entire... He fought through the entire field, but so did Lopro. But Lopro is actually under attack now from Umbreon, and that was a mighty fine pass down the back straight. So, it really just depends on... I mean, Meraki Dawn has had 1 more stop, so he's had some more shenanigans to deal with, but Lopro has also did very well through this field, so honestly... Actually, I'm going to pass this one on the Twitch chat. What does Twitch chat think? Should it be Lopro? Should it be Meraki Dawn? Should it be somebody else? Let us know in the chat down below. But here's another thing too. I think Lopro could still be a pretty good option because he had a similar performance and ended up winning the sprint race as well.
Yeah, that is very, very true. And I am actually kind of very interested to see how this battle is going to go, because we're approaching they're on the second half of lap 33. So going into this, they'll have 3 laps to go as they hit lap 34. But most of the time, especially in Zandvoort, you have a long DRS train to go to the start-finish line. Unlike, say, Monza, where the DRS line is almost right at the start-finish line. So sometimes it's kind of better to just kind of hang out behind your opponent and then overtake them, because if you overtake them on the second to last lap, they might overtake you then on the final lap to the start finish line.
Racing is about 50% physical and about 50% mental in most cases. Some tracks do kind of differ on that front, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's no sense for... Because all Lopro needs to do right now is he needs to stay within DRS. That is going to be his big thing. He needs to stay within DRS. And then he needs to go ahead and just fire the car up, turn on the afterburners on the Williams, and get the pass done. I think he needs to get done on lap 35, maybe, but... If he does on lap 35, he's got to really make it count. Because here's the thing about trying to overtake on lap 36. You got to be really close to your opponent then, because you're only going to have about half of that DRS, because the other half is past the checkered flag.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very close, but it is possible, and especially that's where, like, ERS comes into factor, and like you said, how close they are to each other going through. Because you can see right now that with them battling... They are relatively close to each other. They aren't really getting much of a separation. And I am curious to see, because right now, Umbreon is on the 25-lap old hard tires. And Lopro, and that, I thought he was going for the pass there for a second. He's on the 16-lap old mediums. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to come in to be a factor here in this last lap and a half.
Yeah, 100%. I think, I mean, they're pretty much similar in terms of grip right now, because the medium tires have a quicker fall off than the hards do. But the hards initially, by design, have less grip at the get-go. So I think these tires are kind of even, honestly. So it is lap 36 out of 36 right now, and the driver who has dominated the feature race. Had a pretty good performance in the sprint, but he dominated the feature race here. It is the McLaren of Tai Tai, as Lopro does get the move done.
Still side
Onto
by
Umbreon
side
around the outside.
Ooh, he gets it done. What a move by Low Pro. He's somehow hung it around the outside, and he was able to keep it.
Another masterclass move around the outside of Tarzan for Low Pro there. I mean, that is one of the best corners to really try to get a good overtake on the circuit is through Tarzan. Because just like turn 3, you can really get a good exit regardless and get a good move done around the outside. But a driver who is coming back to victory lane, and he is no stranger to victory lane, the current championship leader will extend his point gap. He dominated in Monaco. He's back to dominate here. Ty wins the Dutch Grand Prix here at Rush Racing League in North America. What a drive from the McLaren, and 10 seconds ahead of his rival Meraki Dawn. And here's the drag race that we've been waiting to see. Low Pro and Umbreon gonna drag race to the line. ERS is open. Low Pro takes P3. And honestly, I think after that performance, I think, considering how good he did in the sprint as well, I think that's driver of the day material right there for Low Pro.
Yeah, I actually am inclined to agree. And we talked that drag race. You can admit that drag race was actually pretty close. You can see that Umbreon gave absolutely everything to try and beat him to the line, but it was just not enough. And Low Pro is going to claim a podium place here.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it was a mighty fine drive there. Mighty fine drive from these drivers here today. I mean, you couldn't really give them anything but praise at this point, honestly. I mean, it was well driven from all these drivers. Low Pro had a fantastic sprint race, did good in the feature, and then obviously Meraki Dawn had a comeback drive of a century too. So a lot of these drivers did pretty good today, I'll have to say.
Yeah, a lot of the drivers did very, very well today, considering the absolute carnage and chaos going on with all the safety cars and incidents. But the one who stood all of it stood the test of time through all of it, was consistent, are your 3 drivers here, when Tai, Meraki Dawn, and Low Pro.
Indeed, yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic job, as Meraki Dawn did get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, so that is an extra point for him. But now we're going to go and take a look at our finishing lineup. We'll speed run it. It is Tai, Low Pro, Meraki, that is the overalls. So it is Tai, Meraki, Low Pro, Umbreon, GM Reigns, Harold, the Rams, Wildcat, Illyrian, SGC, Project Nemesis, Joshua Bayer, Ngai, NASCAR, and Iten, with the drivers from P10 to P15, or actually P9 to P15, being our retirees from the Grand Prix. So we're going to go ahead and try to get our top 3 in. So Low Pro, Meraki, and Tai, if you guys could come into the comments box, we would be happy to chat with you for a bit. And then we'll go ahead and let you guys go and sunset the stream. But, I mean, while we wait on that, what are your thoughts on today's race?
I think my thought is that I think the real life Zandvoort came back to kind of influence this race. We had talked about how much chaos the real life race was, and I think it kind of seeped into this one with all of the incidents and everything that transpired. But I was also very, very impressed with the driver's performance, where they were just kind of able to do their best to just keep their head down, keep going, and get the best possible result. And that is what really makes the mark of a great driver in Rush Racing League.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was a very spectacular job from these drivers. We'll see if we can get them in. We'll give them a few minutes to pop on in. Our top 3 and the sprint winner, which coincidentally 2 of them are the same person, with Low Pro winning the sprint and also getting a top 3 finish in the feature race. But yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. This definitely had shades of the real life Dutch Grand Prix involved in it. It was pretty chaotic, honestly. I think we actually maxed out the amount of safety cars and VSCs we could have in a single 36 lap race. I think that might be the reason why we couldn't get any more, but we'll see.
Yeah, that is entirely possible. And actually, I just got noticed in our Discord server that none of our top 3 are going to be able to do an interview today, as they all have to run almost immediately out, as they are all running to go do stuff that they had planned. So as far as I can see, there is going to be no interview for this race, unfortunately.
That is a shame, but I very well understand. Life happens, and I mean, some of these drivers are racing from Australia, which is our normal OC league, and a bunch of other locations across the globe. I think our Tai, I think, is from Belgium, or at least he had a Belgian flag, which I know you could change your flag willy-nilly, essentially, but yeah, I mean, I just want to go ahead and say congratulations to our top 3, Tai, our winner, Mirakidon, our second place driver, and then Low Pro, our podium finisher and sprint race winner here. And yeah, do you have any final thoughts?
No, honestly, just a very, very crazy race. Then I don't think really any of us could have really predicted what was going to happen in all of not only just the sprint race, but the same thing going into the feature race. Just kind of pure chaos that reflected real life, the real life race as well. And I can't wait for next week, because next week is Las Vegas, and I'm very interested to see which drivers kind of have the need for speed, because Las Vegas is basically going to be our version of Monza for the North America series.
I still think Las Vegas. Actually, you know what? I'll save the hot takes for another time. But anyways, that is going to be it for us here. I know one thing's for certain. Drivers are going to definitely have to take a gamble when it comes to Vegas. You're going to see drivers gambling on some moves, raising the stakes. Round 4 of the championship in Rush Racing League in North America. Before we go, I do want to thank our sponsors, Sim Racing Center, SimLab, Pagnian, and of course, AI369. Thank you guys all so much for sponsoring this fantastic league. Thank you so much to GameHawk for joining me here, as always. And thank you to all of our amazing Twitch viewers that popped in, interacted with us as we were going through the Dutch Sprint weekend here at Rush Racing League in North America. On behalf of GameHawk, my name is Patrick Coleman, aka Rekus, and we have been your hosts and commentators for today's Grand Prix. Tune in next week when we head to the streets of Viva Las Vegas. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time.